Have you ever met someone who, in stressful situations, lets out a laugh so unexpected that it seems out of place? That person who, in the middle of a serious fight, suddenly starts laughing as if they've heard the funniest joke in the world while everyone around them is frowning, wondering if they've lost their mind. Well, this behavior, which may seem strange or even offensive to some, actually hides a psychological mechanism that is as complex as it is fascinating. And no, it's not frivolity, nor lack of education. It is the brain, in its ancestral wisdom, triggering an emergency protocol that few understand. Before you judge this person as detached or insensitive, it's worth remembering one thing: laughing when nervous is not a sign of disrespect, but of an internal battle that is happening right there, in front of you. Just imagine, the human body was designed to deal with danger in two basic ways: fight or flight. But what happens when neither option is viable? When you're stuck in a tense meeting with the boss, or a family argument where you can't just run out the door? That's where nervous laughter comes in, a kind of emotional escape valve, a way that the brain finds to relieve pressure when traditional alternatives fail. But why exactly the laughter? Why not cry, or scream, or just be silent? The answer lies in our evolution. Studies suggest that laughter, at its core, is a sign of non-aggressive submission, a way of saying, without words, I'm not a threat, please don't attack me. In stressful situations, the brain can interpret social tension as a veiled threat, and laughter appears as an attempt to diffuse conflict before it escalates. It's as if the nervous system is saying, if I laugh, maybe they won't realize how scared I am. And, in a way, it works. A laugh, even if forced, can break the seriousness of a moment, reducing the hostility in the air. Now, let's go beyond biology. Behind this seemingly reasonless laughter, there is often a life story that conditioned this response. It may be that, as a child, this person learned that showing vulnerability was dangerous. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where crying or admitting fear was synonymous with weakness, and laughter became an involuntary mask to hide what you really felt. Or, you may have developed this habit as a social survival strategy. After all, those who laugh are seen as relaxed, and not as someone who is about to fall apart. In some cases, nervous laughter is so automatic that the person doesn't even realize they are doing it. It's like a reflex, like blinking when something comes close to your eyes. But here comes the most interesting part. This mechanism, which seems so random, reveals a lot about how we deal with our emotions. People who laugh when nervous tend to be extremely sensitive, with a keen emotional intelligence. After all, they can sense the tension in the air before it even manifests itself clearly. However, this same sensitivity often prevents them from expressing what they feel directly. Laughter then becomes a coded language, a disguised SOS. It's as if they're saying, I'm feeling overwhelmed, but I don't know how to ask for help, so I'm going to laugh and see if anyone understands. And there's more. This reaction can also be a symptom of untreated anxiety. When the body is in a constant state of alert, any pressure situation, no matter how small, can trigger exaggerated responses. Laughter, in this case, is like an emotional short circuit. The person knows they should be serious, but the nervous system, overloaded, sends the wrong signal, and the result is an ill-timed smile. Anyone who's been through this knows how frustrating it is. You're scared to death on the inside, but on the outside you look like you're having fun. And worse, afterwards, you still have to. And dealing with the judgment of others who think you didn't take the situation seriously. But don't think that this is just a negative characteristic. In fact, laughing in tense moments can be a superpower in disguise. People who do this often have an incredible ability to lighten the mood, even without meaning to. They are those who, without realizing it, break the ice in uncomfortable situations, making others relax too. In work teams, for example, someone who laughs when nervous may unintentionally prevent a conflict from escalating, simply by introducing an element of lightness into an otherwise heavy moment. It's as if, without planning, they fulfilled the role of emotional mediators, reminding everyone that, after all, we are human and we make mistakes. Of course, this does not mean that this characteristic is easy to live with. People who laugh when nervous often feel misunderstood, as if they are always giving explanations for something they have no control over. No, I didn't think it was funny, I swear. It's just that I get like this when, how many times have you heard, or said, this phrase? And the worst thing is that, even after explaining, there is still that doubt in the air. Is she lying? Am I the problem? The truth is that there is no single answer. Each person has their triggers, their stories, their defense mechanisms. What matters is recognizing that, behind that seemingly meaningless laughter, there is a person trying to protect themselves in the only way they know how. And if you're one of those people, here's an important message: you're not weird, or dramatic, or exaggerated. Your brain has simply found a way to deal with the chaos, and that's not a defect, it's an adaptation. Maybe you learned way back when that showing fear was dangerous. Maybe he discovered that laughing was easier than facing pain head-on. But know that you don't need to apologize for being who you are. Your nervous giggles are not a sign of weakness. They are proof that, even in the midst of the turmoil, you still find a way to breathe. Now, a thought to leave with you: the next time someone laughs at a moment that isn't technically funny, stop for a second and notice. Maybe that laugh isn't a lack of respect, but a disguised cry for help. Maybe it's her way of saying, "I don't know how to deal with this alone." And if you are that person, allow yourself to hear what that laughter is trying to tell you. Because, deep down, it's not about others, it's about you, about your wounds, your strengths and, above all, about the incredible human capacity to transform pain into something that, even for a second, seems light. If this text made sense to you, comment here. Do you also laugh when you're nervous? How did the people around you react to this? Share with those who need to understand that not all laughter is joy. Sometimes, it's just the soul trying not to drown. And if you want more reflections like this, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next texts. Until next time, and remember, the truest emotions are not always the ones we show. Laughter that is not laughter, when the soul wears a clown mask to keep from crying. Have you ever been in a situation so tense that you suddenly let out a laugh that sounds strange even to yourself? That sharp, almost mechanical sound that escapes as if someone had pressed the wrong button inside you. It's not joy. It's not fun. It's the body reacting to excess pressure, like a pressure cooker that hisses because it can no longer handle the heat. And the worst part isn't the laughter itself. It's the look of others. Some think you're crazy, others interpret it as disrespect, and very few understand that that sound is your soul asking for help in Morse code. Because sometimes laughing is the last resort before collapse. Why does the body choose to laugh instead of cry? Science has an explanation, of course it does. In times of extreme stress, the brain confuses itself and activates the same muscles used in laughing and crying. It's as if the nervous system says, "I don't know if this is funny or tragic, so I'm going to do both at the same time." The result? An awkward, uncontrolled, almost robotic laugh, what psychologists call nervous laughter or tension-relieving laughter. But the truth goes beyond neurochemistry. This laughter is an emotional survival strategy. Imagine you are at a wake, or receiving devastating news, or even in a heated argument. Suddenly, the weight of reality becomes unbearable. What to do? Crying would be losing control. Stay silent, cold. So, the body chooses the middle path, a laugh that is not happiness, but also not despair. It's the sound of your psyche trying to balance the tightrope between collapse and composure. And here's the cruelest detail: anyone who laughs like that is usually judged twice. First, because of the situation itself, the loss, the fight, the pressure. Second, by the act of laughing, as if it were a sign of a lack of seriousness. As if pain couldn't have the sound of laughter. What is this laughter trying to say? And why you should listen? Every nervous laugh is a coded message. Depending on the context, it can mean 1. I'm overwhelmed and I don't know how to deal with it. Example: you laugh in the middle of a crisis at work because your brain has gone into survival mode and can't process the severity. 2. I'm afraid of what comes next. Example: laughing before surgery, a difficult exam or a serious conversation. It's the body trying to postpone panic. 3. I don't want others to see how much this affects me. Example: laughing at a funeral or after betrayal. The laughing mask is easier to use than the crying mask. 4. This is so absurd I don't know whether to cry or laugh. Example: when life seems like a black comedy script, a breakup via text, a dismissal on your birthday. 5. I need an outlet, even if it's fake. Example: Laughing after a scare or an accident. The body releases accumulated tension in the only way it can. The problem? Most people don't crack this code. They only see the surface. How can this person laugh at a time like this? And then comes the judgment, the misunderstanding, and most painfully, the loneliness of those who are laughing alone, even in the middle of a crowd. The other side of laughter, when it becomes a trap. Here's the part no one talks about. When nervous laughter becomes a habit, it can turn into a prison. You start to laugh at everything, even the things that hurt, because you learned that pain is more acceptable if it comes wrapped in humor. People stop taking you seriously because they can't tell when you're joking or suffering. You yourself get confused. After laughing so much instead of crying, you no longer know what you really feel. It's as if you've exchanged tears for laughter, but deep down, the two things are made of the same substance. Pure, unfiltered emotion. How to stop laughing when what you want is to cry? If you've recognized yourself so far, no, you don't have to choose between laughing or breaking down. The secret is to relearn how to feel without masks. Some steps can help. 1. Name what you feel, even if just for yourself. Instead of laughing, try saying, "This scares me, this hurts me, this is too much for me." 2. Allow yourself to pause before reacting. When you feel nervous laughter coming on, take a deep breath and count to 5. Sometimes this small break is enough to choose a response instead of having a reaction. 3. Find a safe place to release real emotion. If you can't cry in front of others, do it alone later, in the shower, in the car, writing on paper. The emotion doesn't disappear just because you swallow it with a laugh. 4. Warn those close to you, if you trust them. 1 sentence. Simple words like "sometimes I laugh when I'm nervous, it's not because I'm not taking it seriously" can avoid misunderstandings. 5. Question: what is this laughter covering? Fear? Shame? Anger? Nervous laughter is like an emotional band-aid. It hides the wound, but it doesn't heal it. For those on the outside, how to react when someone laughs out of turn. If you've ever seen someone laugh at an inappropriate moment and felt like judging, stop and think. It's not disrespect. It's discomfort. It's not a lack of sensitivity. It's excessive sensitivity. It's not cool. It's a cry for help in disguise. Instead of saying, "Why are you laughing? That's not funny," try, "Are you okay? Can I do something?" Without an accusatory tone. Welcoming silence. Sometimes people just need space to breathe. If you want to talk, I'm here. Without pressing. Remember, an out-of-place laugh could be the only way that person found to not break down in front of you. The truth no one tells you: nervous laughter is a superpower in disguise. It may seem contradictory, but those who laugh in difficult times have a resilience that few understand. This person, heavy checkmark, managed to create an escape hatch for emotions that could paralyze her. Heavy checkmark understands, even if unconsciously, that life is absurd and sometimes all you can do is laugh. Heavy checkmark has a heightened sensitivity. After all, only those who feel a lot need such strong mechanisms to deal with it. The problem is not the laughter. It's the world that only accepts 2 options, really smiling or really crying, as if life were a movie with a predictable script. But the reality is much more complex, ambiguous, and yes, funny in a tragic way. To reflect and respond in the comments. Have you ever laughed at a moment that technically wasn't funny? What was happening? Has anyone ever judged you for this? How did you feel? If your nervous laugh could talk, what would it say? Share this text with those who need to understand that not all laughter is joy. Sometimes, it's just the soul trying not to drown in silence. And if you want more reflections like this, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones. Because life is made up of moments when we laugh, cry and, sometimes, do both at the same time. Until next time. And remember, the truest emotions are not always the ones we show. Sometimes they are hidden behind a laugh that no one understands. The laughter that is not laughter, when the soul uses humor as a life jacket. Have you ever had that moment when you laughed so loud that the tears flowed, but inside it was like you were screaming without the sound? It wasn't joy. It wasn't fun. It was the body refusing to break down in front of others, turning the internal chaos into an improvised comedy performance. This laughter, the one that rises up the throat like a disguised sob, has a name behind the scenes in psychology: nervous laughter, tension laughter, or, as some therapists call it, the smile that pain wears when it doesn't want to be seen. It is no coincidence that it appears at the most uncomfortable, absurd, or painful moments. The brain, in its cruel wisdom, knows, if you don't cry now, maybe you can survive until you get home. Why do we laugh when we should cry? The science behind the paradox. 1. The body is an emotional trickster. When voltage reaches a peak, the nervous system short-circuits. The prefrontal cortex, the one that should manage your emotions, temporarily shuts down, and what's left is the primary instinct, releasing energy. Laughing or crying are two escape valves for the same pressure. The difference: laughter is socially accepted. Cry, no. 2. The disconnection trap. Studies show that people with high emotional sensitivity, such as empaths or trauma survivors, develop this mechanism as a way to dissociate. It's as if the mind says, if I make this a joke, I don't really need to feel it. The problem? The emotion doesn't go away, it just waits patiently for the moment when you're alone. 3. Laughter as a social shield. Imagine an embarrassing situation. You trip, drop something, or someone makes a hurtful comment. Laughing is a social survival strategy. It's the brain's way of saying, I'm not threatened. I'm in control. Even if, inside, you're falling apart. Laughing when you should cry is the most elegant way of saying, I still don't have the words for this. Phrase to save and share. The 3 types of laughter that are not what they seem. Type of laughter when appears, what does it really mean? Disconnected laughter at wakes, after bad news, in fights. If I don't laugh, I'll fall apart, and I can't do that here. The mirror laughter when someone tells a joke that isn't funny. I need to fit in. If they're laughing, so should I. Laughter time bomb in situations of extreme tension, exams, interviews. My body is panicking, but if I cry, I'll lose control. So, ha, ha, ha. The dangerous side, when laughter becomes a prison. Here's the truth no one tells you: when nervous laughter becomes your default state, you lose touch with your real emotions. It's like living with a permanent filter of everything is fine, even when nothing is fine. You stop crying, even when you should. People stop taking you seriously. She always laughs, it can't be so bad. You feel guilty for not feeling right, as if your tears were a manufacturing defect. The greatest danger is not laughing when you should cry. It's forgetting how to cry. How to reconnect with what's behind the laughter. If you've identified yourself so far, try this. 1. Name what you feel. The next time nervous laughter appears, pause for 3 seconds and ask, what am I avoiding feeling right now? Anger, fear, shame. Write it down on paper. The act of naming reduces the power of emotion. 2. Create a safe code with people close to you. Coordinate with a friend or partner. If I start laughing in a serious moment, ask, is this real laughter? Sometimes we just need permission to let go. 3. Let the body lead. When you feel nervous laughter coming on, take a deep breath and clench your fists for 5 seconds. This breaks the tension cycle and gives real emotion a chance to emerge. 4. Allow yourself to be dramatic. Society teaches that crying is exaggerated, that feeling too much is weakness. But what if true courage was letting the tears fall without apologizing? To reflect, and respond in the comments, without filters. When was the last time you laughed when deep down you wanted to cry? What was happening? Has anyone ever told you stop laughing, it's not funny at a time like this? How did you react? If your nervous laugh was a person, what would it say to you today? An invitation? No, not just another like and share. If this text resonated with you, do this. 1. Save to favorites, because in a month, when life gets tough, you'll want to reread it. 2. Send it to that friend who always laughs at the wrong times, he will understand the message. 3. Write in the comments, me too. Sometimes just knowing that we are not alone is a relief. And if you need more reflections like this, turn on notifications. Because here we talk about things that no one teaches, but everyone feels. Until next time. And remember, the truest emotions are not the ones we show. These are the ones we hide behind a laugh that no one understands, not even ourselves. Broken heart. P.S. If you've made it this far, thank you for not giving up halfway through. That already says a lot about you. And yes, I also laugh when I shouldn't. We understand each other.